Today I will be discussing the book Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator by Ryan Holiday. So this book was published in 2012 and it's an interesting read. I've never read anything quite like it. It's written by a media manipulator and he's kind of sick and tired of how things work and wants us to know the truth behind the media, behind the news, and wants us to know how things work in the real world, because it's all controlled by people like him. So before I begin, if there's anything today that you hear that you like or find interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, let me begin. So Mr. Holiday explains how the media really works because he says it's shaped by blogs and by people like him. So blogs control and distort the news. So the news and the news anchors and news companies often just get their information from blogs without even verifying it. So he says people like him control the blogs to a large extent, and then that information goes to the media and goes to the rest of us out there consuming news and media. So he says he makes up the news and the blogs make up the headlines. And then it goes from there to the news agencies. So reporters often don't even bother to change the wording he provides to them. So he will provide them like an email and he sees that they didn't even change the wording. So it's so fast paced, he's saying, that like people don't even stop to fact check or check anything to verify whether or not it's accurate. They just put it out there. Holiday explains that blogs need to get a number of clicks per day and a number of stories per day. So it's all about volume. There's no time for fact checking, but a lot of time for fake news, he says. Holiday also says that the consequences are practically non-existent for lying and doing what he does, essentially. So it's not like you have to repay the money that you're paid for providing the false information. It's all about the one-off, he says, the headline that hooks the reader. So that's all that anyone cares about. And it's a vicious cycle of headlines and stories needing to be more and more outrageous. And we've definitely seen that in the media. Definitely the bigger, the more outrageous, the better. Sites have to publish like an X number of stories every few minutes to actually make a profit. Holiday says that facts actually oftentimes come from Wikipedia because it gets cited enough times. So then the stuff on Wikipedia, which is not verified, oftentimes not true, not factual, becomes fact, because then even news agencies are taking the Wikipedia information and just publishing it. And so if it gets published X number of times, it gets credibility and it becomes factual all of a sudden. But we all go to Wikipedia to get an idea of whatever it is that we're researching or looking into, or if we haven't heard of something. So it's kind of scary that Wikipedia becomes fact after a while. He says that things don't change. He looked at news headlines 100 years ago, and he gives a lot of really interesting examples from 100 years ago. And people are always drawn to the same headlines. It's just not like yelled on a street corner anymore, he says. It's on social media, but it's the same things that hook people. People respond to and are deceived by the same things they were 100 years ago. Holiday here quotes Ricky Jay, an American magician, but it's a pretty interesting quote. People respond to and are deceived by the same things they were 100 years ago. Holiday says that once anything is printed enough times in the media without challenge, it becomes fact. And it's not like people are getting emailed when there is an incorrect piece of information listed in the news. Like a mass email is not going out from MSNBC or from Fox, like, oh, sorry, we got it wrong, right? And oftentimes it's not even commented on, even on TV or in the media online. They're not going to, sometimes they retract, but it's not like they want to make sure everyone knows that they made a mistake. So he says that evolution of a news story is a lot like biological evolution. It jumps around and cross-contaminates, and it's impossible to track or correct. So he kind of walks us through how to read a blog. So he says, if you hear, we'll have more details as the story develops, or breaking news, this means it came to you too soon. No attempt at confirmation. Basically, they're publishing before the facts are even confirmed. and they don't care if it's right or wrong or if it causes problems for people. And he gives examples of this too because of just the world in which he lives in and works in. He's seen it all. So he gives some like personal examples too, which are very interesting. He says that exclusive means favorable coverage was given to that site. So a deal was made, it was paid for. So again, not necessarily credible, right? Holiday says if you see reports, that could mean anything. Nothing official, random post from Twitter. That's what reports mean. Like, oh, reports were received, or it was reported, like who actually reported it, right? Sources tell us. That also means usually that's not vetted. Those sources are not vetted. He says there are no standards anymore. This is back in 2012 too, right? So yeah, he said back then, no standards. News is not real. And he also says that our opinions are not opinions. They're emotions that feel like opinions. Now, this is directly from Amusing Ourselves to Death by Postman. I reviewed this book on my channel as well. It is such a good read. I'd highly recommend. But yeah, so our opinions are not our opinions. They're actually just emotions that feel like opinions that were almost like fed to us by the media. So we have emotions on things, on news stories. They're not actually opinion-based. And so he references actually Neil Postman, and he says that entertainment created TV, and TV created a fake world, and it became our new reality. Some food for thought. And Holiday also says that his contribution, this is his contribution, it was to expose the problem, but he doesn't actually have an answer. So he kind of leaves us hanging. I'm going to leave it there. He leaves it there. I think it's basically, take everything with a grain of salt and fact check as best you can. And don't go to Wikipedia thinking you're actually going to get anything that is factual there. But it is an interesting read. I listened to it on Audible, and he's funny. He narrates it himself, so he's quite a funny guy. And if you found anything interesting that I've said today, please pick yourself up a copy and like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for listening, and until next time.